Good morning, students of Standard 9. Today we are going to take about the organization of the Buddhism. Last time we have dealt about with the doctrines of Buddhism. So today we are going to deal about the organization. So what is organization? That means the organization of Buddhists into different orders. So today we have the Sangha. The Sangha means the teaching of Buddha were arranged in a systematic order known as the Sangha or known as the Sangha. That means it was the order for the Buddhist teachings, for the monks and the nuns. So what sort of order they have to live, what sort of life they have to lead, and how to preach the religion. That was known as the Sangha. Yeah. Now the Sangha can be broken down into, that is, three different parts here I have taken up. Like the membership. Those who have joined the Sangha, they were called the members. Mostly it was the monks known as the bhikshus and the nuns known as the bhikshunis. Okay. So they had to, once they entered this Sangha, they had to follow the rules and regulation of the Sangha, and therefore the minimum age for joining at the time of Buddha was 15 years. So the member who joined the Sangha had to abide by the rules and regulations of the Sangha, and he had to take the oath in front like Buddham Shranam Gacchami, Dharmam Shranam Gacchami, Sangham Shranam Gacchami. That means I take shelter under the Buddha. I take shelter under the religion, and I take shelter under the sun. So these were the main things he had to recite before taking into the membership. This was the oath. And the members had to go a vigorous training for 10 years about the Buddhist philosophical views, Buddhist ideas, their orders, how to lead a simple and moral life. So this where the membership was open to the Buddhist followers who took the members of the Sangha. Clear? Then those who became the members of the Sangha, they had to follow the commandments. And the commandments were rules that was laid down by Buddha. Already you have learned. That means not to steal, not to tell lies, lead a life of brahmacharya, severe penance and austerity, non-violence. So these commandments he had to abide by the commandments that was given by Buddha's doctrine. Clear? Next we have the viharas. So it was believed that these Buddhist monks and nuns, they have to travel for 8 long months in different parts of the countries to preach the philosophy or the doctrines of Buddha. And so when they toured, the 4 months were left in that place where they have to rest. The viharas were the residential for the monks. Okay? And the nuns. That means they had to sit there in those residences, the vihara known as the viharas, and study the scriptures and again proceed their mission further in expanding the Buddhism. So special discipline was kept in the viharas for the monks and the nuns to lead a very disciplined life. So that was the viharas were specially built. And later on when you see that these viharas sprang up to be the educational institutions like the Nalanda University and the Takshila University. So these were the order of this. So after Buddha died, the Sangha became a very bold or big organization which controlled the entire the Buddhist thoughts and all. And so what happened? Therefore, certain corrupt practices or certain misunderstanding took place between the Sangha, and the order began to be split into 2 different sects known as the Hinayana sect and the Mahayana sect, or the Hinayana sect of Buddhism or the Mahayana sect of Buddhism. Now what are Hinayana sect? So the followers of Hinayana, they consider the doctrines of Buddha and they do not say or they do not regard Buddha as God. They follow the Eightfold Path of Buddha was the only means to attain moksha or salvation, and therefore they shut down the idol worship and the image worship because they did not regard Buddha as their God. They said the only means of salvation was by following the Eightfold Path, which already I have dealt in the previous topic, and they did call Buddha as God. Yeah. And they said that that was the only time, only means to get salvation, freedom from the birth and death. Clear? Then we have the Mahayana faith. The Mahayana faith is supposed to be the greater vehicle of salvation. What does that mean? It means that Buddha was supposed to be an incarnation of God, like the avatar, we call it incarnation of God, and he has come to get rid of the people from the various sins and other worldly affairs of life. So therefore, he was supposed to be the incarnation of God, and they also believed that Buddha alone would ensure them salvation or nirvana or complete freedom from the birth to death. So they regarded Buddha as God, as an avatar and incarnation, and he alone would lead the people into salvation. But after many of the followers that followed Buddha, the Hinayana faith, soon they began to regard Buddha as their God, but many who were not even attained salvation, they believed that the moral aim of theirs too was to attain Swarga or heaven place. And so they thought that nirvana was the means to attain the Swarga. So that's why many followers they had, like Kanishka and all, they were the followers of Hinayana faith. Yeah. So these were the two sects of Buddhism that we have left. Now today, what we have more in this topic is what are the impacts that led on the various people of the country. So what impact does Buddhism lay on the people? So the first format we have ahimsa. So Buddhism preaches the philosophy of ahimsa, that means non-injury or not harming any living beings. So this became a major weapon to fight injustice, and we can see that Mahatma Gandhi took this pledge of ahimsa, non-violence, to fight against the mighty British rules and throw them out from the country. Therefore, ahimsa became the goal of life of many of the people. Even Ashoka embraced Buddhism and he gave up, that is Digvijay, and accepted the Dharma Vijay. That means he left off hunting and fighting and took up to non-violence. He said no, he gave up non-violence, he took up to, non-violence, he take up to ahimsa. That was the only means to lead a simple and peaceful life. So ahimsa became the goal of the people. Clear? Then influence on religious life. Now, as Buddhism preached in very simple language, and there was no costly religious and sacrifices, so it gave the chance for the Hinduism to reform their religion. Many evils has crept away in the Hindu society, in the Hindu religion, but Buddha's religion was very simple and holy, and so it gave chance for the the Hinduism that was prevalent at that time to reform or to do away with the costly sacrifices, rituals and other yajnas. So therefore, it has a very influence on the religious life of the people. Thirdly, we have influence on social life. What is influence on social life? That means people now, Buddhism has those universal brotherhood among all class of people. So as more and more people began to socially involve in various activities of the Buddhists, so the distinction between caste and creed slowly began to vanish. Therefore, now all people could now have a faith in Buddhism, and because the Buddhism did not favor any caste or creed, it tried to bring all sections of the society into a single unit platform, believed in the universal brotherhood. So therefore, the social life of the people influenced, because the people now began to lead a simple life, irrespective of the costly sacrifices and rituals, and based on the life based on moral values and good deeds. So therefore, it has a very significant role on the social life of the people. Here, then we have political impact. Now, most of the rulers, they have political impact. That means the rulers, like many of the Kanishka, Ashoka, all them when they embraced Buddhism, they patronized this religion and made them the state religion also. Many of the rulers like Ashoka, he sent his daughter Shangamitra now to preach the doctrines of Buddhism to Sri Lanka and other countries. Therefore, the political impact, these rulers also gave up, like Ashoka gave up after the deadly Kalinga war, gave up the violence, gave up fighting and took to the Dharma. That means from Digvijay to Dharma Vijay he took. Therefore, the political impact on the rulers also created that. Now, as a result, Buddhism took out to Ahimsa many Kshatriyas who were born like people. They gave up fighting. And so therefore we see that the followers of the Gupta rulers, they are followers of Hinduism. And so they also gave the Kshatriyas the war, the Rajputs were born rulers. Victory or death was their only slogan. And so therefore, when the rulers like Ashoka and all, they embraced Buddhism, they gave up the violence and took to non-violent means like Ahimsa, and they attained this as a means to fulfill their desires. That was one particular. Cultural impact. Now, cultural impact, many of the cultural impact, like the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, they went to many preachers, the monks and the nuns, they went to far different places like Southeast Asian countries, China, Tibet and all, to popularize their religion, Buddhism. And as a result, they came in close contact with these people, and as a result, the cultural exchange between the people from India and Southeast Asian countries flourished. That means it laid a cultural impact on different countries of Southeast Asia. Clear? Then we have language and literature. So as Buddha teach in the common language of the people, the Pali language, so it gave chance for the local vernacular language to be sprang up. The teachings of Buddhas and all began to be translated in the local languages, and as a result we have already read about the Jatakas and the Tripitakas. Those writings of the Buddhas served as a valuable information for us to reconstruct the history of Buddhism. So therefore, it had an impact on language and literature, because many tales like Jataka tales were written, and many stories from the Buddha's previous life was written, or Bodhisattvas after his death. And so it gave impetus to the local language and literature. As a result, these literatures like the Tripitakas, the Jatakas, they serve as a valuable source of information for us in reconstructing the history. So therefore it lays her. Then art and architecture, the last phase we have. The art and architecture also reached the climax at that time, because many temples, many statues of the Buddha and the Bodhisattvas were made, carvings were made, many architecture like the stupas have been made where the relics of the Buddhas were kept, and so therefore these gave rise to the art and architecture, fusion of Buddhas and his life, the statue of standing Buddha, the Sanchi Stupa, as a remarkable specimen of the art and sculpture prevalent in this period. Therefore, we see that the Buddhism had a long-lasting effect on the Indian subsoil, and therefore it created various aspects changes in the life of the people and the rulers prevalent at that time. So this is all we have for today. That is, coming next we'll have a discussion based on the Jainism and Buddhism, their similarities, their dissimilarities, what is their opinion about this, why this Jainism was not so popular compared to Buddhism. Till then, be safe, take care, God bless you.